almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years in April 2023.
5 years. That's impressive. 5 years. That's a long time.
There we go. All right. Hey, Brandon Mills was on Howard from the local responsive experience. All right, we'll get started. We're on Facebook Live right now. So thank you for joining us. This is Akil Parker. He is a Black male educator. He has taught mathematics for 15 years. He's an advocate for education for the community and just getting our young people understand the fundamentals of where we come from and how we're supposed to be successful and great. So how you doing, Akil Parker?
I'm doing really good, man. How are you? I'm
doing good. How was your week?
My week was good. Did some teaching up at Cheney, did some tutoring.
Okay.
Yeah, spend some time, spend time with my children every day. So, it was
wonderful. So basically you've been teaching you as a math teacher for over 16 years. Now you are, like you just said, you're adjunct professor at Cheney University. They teach math courses there. So also you are the CEO founder of All This Math LLC, which is a big thing for our Black community, because especially when a Black man does it like yourself. And I'm come from a place I love math growing up. So it's definitely a dynamic, great experience for you. Experience to have this service, the opportunity just to talk to you and also get you talk about why you started this math, things like that. So can you tell us who was Akil Parker growing up?
Growing up?
Yes.
So who was I growing up? That's a good question. So
yes.
I was the oldest sibling out of 5 growing up. Even though, my baby sister Ayana, she's a theater producer. Shout out to her. She's a theater producer in New York. Even though she wasn't born until I was 12.
Okay.
Other siblings, I was, pretty much grew up with them for the majority of my life. Grew up in Baltimore before I relocated to Philadelphia after college. But growing up, I always performed really well in school. A large part of my self-esteem was connected to my school performance. So school was always very important to me. I appreciated the positive reinforcement that I would always get from family members when it would be report card time, and when I had opportunities, at Thanksgiving or whatnot, or when I was visiting family to demonstrate that how smart I was, or at least how smart I thought I was. I like playing sports. I like playing baseball and football around the way. I play video games a lot. I was heavy into video games, heavy. And that ties into how I approach mathematics today, because a lot of the mathematics, that I teach, I try to impress upon students that this is just like a video game, all patterns, just like in a video game. Once you learn the pattern, then you can beat the bosses at the end of the level, or, you can, score the touchdown, or, you can, score the points, whether it's whatever type of sports game it might be. Mathematics is really the same way. You just got to learn the patterns and learn how to use the different operations or the different key combinations. Like, back in the day, what was it? I remember up, down, left, right, A, B, start. I'm not sure if that was the code on Contra for 30 extra men, or if that was I think that was the code on Contra for 30 extra men, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But that's just a pattern. All that is like a math formula. That's all it is. So we can impress upon young people that, while you playing 2K, while you playing Madden, or you playing Call of Duty, or playing, what is it? What's the other joint? not Minecraft, but I can't remember the other popular joint, but any video game, GTA, whatever. When you learn the patterns in those games, you can learn the pattern in algebra or geometry or statistics or any of them. But it's an issue of mindset. We're programmed to think the exact opposite of what I just said. So because we program to think the exact opposite, a lot of people don't ever do that. They don't ever go there. They just get they get uncomfortable when people just mention the word math or they see a problem or they see an equation. So, but I think it's all programming, but just like in the same way that people are programmed, people can be deprogrammed and be reprogrammed, and we reprogram ourselves to have a different outlook. So, but that's pretty much, who I was growing up, oldest sibling out of 5, did really well in school for the most part. Enjoyed playing sports, playing video games. And, I was just out here doing my thing as a young child.
Mm-hmm. So did you major in math when you went to college?
Not at all. Not at all. No. I majored in finance. I was trying to go to Wall Street and get to a bag. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to either pursue investment banking or be some type of equity trader, or even I considered going into in the direction of becoming a CFA or getting my CFA in order to be like a hedge fund manager or mutual fund manager, something like that. I ended up going into, after I graduated from Morgan State University, that's where I got my bachelor's degree from, down in Baltimore. I worked for the FDIC as a bank examiner, and I found out that wasn't a good fit for various reasons. And I ended up leaving that job and going into education. That's when I got my foot in the door with education after I left that job after a year. So that's how, I started out doing this agency in Philly. I started doing tutoring, math tutoring. I started doing daily substitute work here and there. And then I got the opportunity to take this long-term sub position back in, that was like 2005, the spring of 2005, at Mariana Bracetti Academy, when they used to be down in Kensington and Kensington and Lehigh. Like near Kensington.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the old building, but that's where Sankofa is up there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I did a long-term sub position back then in 2005, teaching 10th grade geometry. And it was a good experience, So I decided from there to take education seriously and become an actual teacher instead of just, a sub, just trying to get a check every day. So that was back in 2005, and I've been progressing ever since. And I even progressed to the point where I realized that I can't do my best work within the public and charter school system. I can work with the public and charter school system, but I can't do my best work as a contained teacher in those schools. And considering what I'm trying to do, what I'm really trying to do. So that's why I started all this math.
Right. I was going to get to that point, because I know this is 16 years teaching, and you got to a point where it's like, I could see this certain point, but now you have your own thing, your own business now. Like I could do what I was called to do. I could do more as an outside provider to the students. So like I want to get you kind of start getting into where you start all this math.
So I started all this math. What made me start it was everybody needs math tutoring. Everybody needs math. So I saw there was from a business standpoint, I saw there was a need. But even beyond the capitalistic business standpoint, it's really it's about building community. Because I really believe that what math does is understanding math helps us to develop our critical thinking ability and develop our problem solving ability. And if we can do those things, then we can build community, and we can actually solve some of the problems that our communities have. We can understand how to solve them for ourselves and not have to wait for some white man to come solve it for us. We can understand how to solve our own problems.
Right.
Because that's what I believe. What is it? Amos Wilson. That's one of the things that he would always speak on and wrote about extensively. The purpose of intelligence and the purpose of education is to train and develop people to be able to solve their own problems. So oftentimes in our communities, we're convinced that either we're convinced in many ways that certain problems are actually not problems, or we're not able to recognize the actual problems that are right in front of us because we may lack discernment and we may lack critical thinking ability. So, I believe that understanding mathematics, the same processes you go through in terms of developing yourself to understand mathematics are the same tools that you need to be able to recognize problems and then be able to approach the problems and come up with solutions to the problems. So that's why, I decided to kind of commit my life and my energy, my time to helping other people to understand math as well as I do. Additionally, because even though for the majority of my upbringing, I did well in math most of the time in school, but I did have some rough patches. So I know what it feels like to sit in a math class and not understand what the teacher is talking about. I know what it feels like to be frustrated. I know what it feels like to be angry. I know what it feels like to want to pick that book up and throw it across the room. I know how it gets. So, but I've taught myself and trained myself to understand a lot of those things that once upon a time did frustrate me greatly. And I just want, I want to prevent that frustration from a lot of that, within a lot of people. I want to make sure, I want to do my part to let people know that this is not that difficult, or maybe the way that your teacher's trying to explain it, you may not be picking up on it, or maybe the way the textbook is written, you may not be picking up on it. So I'm gonna try to explain it to you in a different way, which is more simplified. And that's where the YouTube channel comes into play. The YouTube channel, I'm just basically teaching math on you. And I just happen to have the audacity to believe that I could teach math to the entire Black community, all 40 million Black people in the country. I have the audacity to believe that, especially with the technology that's available. And, the online, people having access to online tools and having access to YouTube and, websites. I believe that I can do that. And, not just me, but, I want to develop a cohort or a collective of black men and Black women that are very strong at mathematics and have been demonstrating their strength in mathematics in terms of teaching others for a long time. And I want them to develop their platforms too. And I want us to be able to just basically create content and put it out there to the world, to the people. So really, eventually we get to the point where nobody feel like they can't do math, or nobody feels like they're uncomfortable with math, or nobody feels like they hate math, or they hate fractions, or they don't understand fractions, they don't understand geometry, or they can't do geometric proofs, because we got plenty of Black people. They got YouTube channels, they got content on their own personal websites, and we teaching our people, and you'll pull up anytime and you can get what you need. So that's how I'm trying to shift the culture in our communities, in our neighborhoods. And I'm also trying to get parents involved too, because what I'm really trying to do is get parents, those same parents that felt like they were traumatized when they was in middle school and high school and even college, if they was traumatized in a college stats class, so they feel like a little nervous and uncomfortable and triggered when they think about math, or they see their child's math homework. I want to help them develop their comfort and confidence, so that they can provide the homework help, so they don't feel like they got to fully just outsource everything to the school. Schools aren't equipped for that, so the school, and I think the school should become a place for practice, strictly. That's it, practice. I think the way the schools are set up now, I think that the school should be a place for you to practice the things that your parents taught you, your grandparents, your uncles, your aunts, the old heads on your block, and the old heads in the neighborhood. I think that school should be a place for that. But we got to create that. We got to create that understanding within those old heads, within the parents, the grandparents, the uncles, aunts, the older siblings. We got to train them and develop them so that can become the reality, So yeah, I got some very bold and I guess ambitious ideas and visions for how we can change the way we view mathematics, because pretty much a lot of people, mathematics as a class and as a subject is like a necessary evil. A lot of times you just want to get credit for the class. Like, yeah, I took it, but I didn't really understand it. But you don't care if you didn't understand it, because you didn't think it was useful. And that's another problem too. We don't see the utility of mathematics because of the way it's taught often, and we don't do enough word problems. So I'm real heavy on word problems. A lot of people avoid word problems, and I dig it, because early in my career, I used to avoid word problems, because when I was a student, I try to avoid word problems. But you got to get into the word problems, because when you get into the word problems, then you get to see how relevant the math is, and you get to see like how all these things that people involve themselves in on a daily basis, no matter what it is in their life, they can figure out ways to do it more efficiently, more effectively, or in a smarter way, just from using mathematics, from using algebra, from using geometry, from using pre-calculus methods and all of that. But if you sit in math class and either your teacher doesn't teach you how to do the word problems, or when your teacher was trying to do word problems, you wasn't paying attention, you was on your phone, you was on Instagram, or you was on Twitter, or you was like, on TikTok doing whatever, or texting your friends in another class, or texting your friends in another school, then you won't learn word problems. So then you don't see the application. So you're not gonna see the relevancy. So then you're gonna be one of these people that's like, always saying like math is irrelevant. I don't need that class. We could have just they could have taught personal finance. They could have taught me about like real estate investing and how to do taxes. And I'm like, okay, cool. You do need to learn about real estate investing and how to do taxes. But check this out though. In order to really actually partake in the activities involved in real estate investing and doing taxes, you need algebra. You need math. You have to do the math. So you can't just replace, it's not an either or thing. You need to use math and use algebra 1, algebra 2, pre-calculus, all of that stuff in order to be better at doing calculations that deal directly with all those things people want to talk about in personal finance. But a lot of that just, I understand people's frustration. They just were like, poorly taught, so the first thing, they just want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I get it, but that's not effective. So yeah, we gotta get into the word problem so we can see the relevancy of the mathematics. Because then even if you was in a class where your textbook had word problems that you thought relevant to you specifically, if you at least learn how to do the word problems, then you can understand the framework of the method, and then you can apply that method to something that is relevant to your life, right? So whether you a makeup artist, a hairstylist, a barber, an athlete, a registered nurse, no matter if you make platters and you sell platters on the weekend as a additional stream of income, whatever you do, like you can use the methods that were employed from completing word problems in that so whatever textbook it was, you can use that. It's kind of like, it's like a framework. Like if you go to Target and you need to buy a picture frame, buy some picture frames that, kind of beautify your house, put up pictures, your children, your family, whatever. When you buy the frame, it's going to have a stock photo inside the frame. You take that photo out, throw it away, and then you put your photo in there, but it's the same frame. So the same thing applies. Like, you sit in class, you learn how to do the word problems, and then it's like, okay, I know how to do this kind of word problem, but I don't got to do this specific word problem with this content and this information in it. But I can apply that same method to something that does affect me. Like if you want to be a rapper, you want to be a singer, you want to, travel, go on vacation, whatever you want to do. You want to get your followers up on Instagram, whatever you're trying to do. Like you can use mathematics as a tool, to do all these things. And, there are people that really do have a good understanding of math that are already doing it. And you don't hear them complaining because they know how to do it. So if you weren't taught, then it makes sense for you to complain. But again, that's one of the reasons I'm here doing the work I'm doing, because I'm trying to get people to understand what math is really about. Because I think a lot of people really don't know what math really is. They just think it's a class and, class you got to take, and it's, confusing, and it's a bunch of equations, but they don't really know the purpose of the equations. They don't really know what it's for. So that's what I'm trying to do on the YouTube channel. That's what I'm trying to do. I do with my tutoring sessions and, a lot of the, the work that I'm trying to do. And actually, let me, if I could talk about something else. I have I'm in the process of putting together a proposal where I can teach classes with parents and children, parents and children together, because again, I really want to put the power of education back into the hands of the parents in our Black community. Because once upon a time, parents were more, there are parents that are still involved with their children's homework and their children's schoolwork in that way. And for various reasons, a lot of parents aren't involved. If you work in 3 jobs just to make ends meet, you might be tired. You might be too tired to help somebody with their homework. That's understandable. You got to do what you got to do. But if you do have time, you do have the energy, you do have the ability, then, I want to empower and equip parents to understand the content. So I'm putting together a proposal to work with some schools to create space where we can have weekly evening math classes. So if your daughter or your son is in 10th grade and they're taking geometry, all right, cool. I might come into the school and I'm might teach one of those geometry lessons, but you come in with your child and y'all learn it together. So it's like when your child has questions, at home, then it's like you can help. So it don't gotta be like, oh, I don't know how to do that, or like, whatever, or the child end up going to the photo math app and just like, cheating basically. Like we don't gotta cheat because we know how to do it. So that's something I'm working on because I'm really trying to do some revolutionary things because this is the time for it. This is the time for us to be doing some revolutionary things because the way things is looking, we got to do something different. We got to do something drastically different, or else because it's going to continue to get worse before it gets better.
And I agree. First of all, I want to thank you for providing the service called All This Math LLC because I was an average, but maybe because of my personal story. I wish I had you about 20 years ago, the person like you 20 years ago. So I grew up, I love math. I have a tutor, I took calculus my senior year in high school. I got A in that class. I only one and two people got A in calculus. In college, I made my minor was elementary school mathematics. I passed all my classes, one class called geometry. This professor was horrible, like horrible. He didn't look like me. It was horrible. And I dropped the class because I was with my GPA. Tried to take it again my senior year. Didn't get it. Like I knew the stuff, but the way it was horrible. I had dropped my minor because of this experience. And that haunted me for a long time because I wanted to teach middle school math. Because I love math growing up. If I had someone like you or someone that knew geometry, I would have passed that class. And my life probably totally different. If I had someone like you or that person that had math that could see it differently, the way he was teaching was differently. And I was always an advocate. Okay, was the job say, hey, with that weed tours. I'm like, where's the math at? Because a lot of kids struggle with math. I see the teachers, like parents struggle with math. Like this new math, I don't get it. I don't understand it. So I know where you come from, and I definitely want you to invite you to back to school night. It's Thursday. It's at Logan. So I would love you to come, have a table, talk to your parents about math because I think what you're doing is revolutionary and so needed for our community. And I'm definitely subscribed to your YouTube channel because I'm definitely gonna get back to math. And just because I love math, I want to vet myself in math because I want to be helpful to my kids and my youth I work with. And they need help because math was a passionate thing I had growing up, and that experience I had in college, my junior year, really kind of took away my joy. I wish I had someone like you that helped me back then. That I went and got my minor. So, but like I said, I mean, I definitely, hopefully, we can party together because I definitely get into schools and we can have all this math as a resource for our young people to go and parents to go to for tutoring services and classes is a win-win situation because math is so important and so needed in our community. A lot of our kids don't like math, especially word problems, especially like stuff they gotta do, and like you said, schools are not really they're only practicing the test. They're not practicing for life about how to do math because you need to do the little stuff before you know how to do the taxes and the finance and stuff like that because that's a big component of that. And a lot of times schools focus on literacy. I understand that, but the math should be as important as well. I hope that, like I said, I've been definitely enlightened and definitely impressed with what you're doing because I definitely going to support you. Go on YouTube channel, get on that because I want to rediscover my math for myself and so we can offer this stuff to our young people, so they can become better at math and because now a lot of schools are doing STEM, financial literacy, all stuff like that. So important that our kids know the basic principles of math, but also know how to get for that geometry and that algebra, the calculus, pre-calculus stuff that I see a lot of people struggle with. high school, so they can like approach it like you mentioned earlier, like a video game,
Yeah.
So I definitely am very impressed because I definitely want you more involved and impressed and get you out there because so many parents need you, need your services, need your so they can teach they something help their kids with their math, especially as they get older to middle school and high school. Because if yes, classes like you taught even the parents, they can be more equipped and know what strategies are even math for a second grader, so it's kind of complicated now. So, but I definitely want to collaborate, see where to collaborate because I think what you're doing is really outside the box, which is great. And like I said, I wish there were services like you years ago. So our kids will have a fear of math, but have an expectation that I can't do this math. It's not going to stop me. I can do this math. It's not just a class. I can take the concept that I'm learning here and apply it to my daily life. So
Yeah. And if you could, though, so this is another thing I wanna like, I guess, I ask that I have is like any young people that you come in contact with, any parents, school age children, make sure that they know about the YouTube channel. Definitely
right,
make sure they know about the YouTube channel. Make sure they subscribe to it and make sure they actually use it, because I just really I'm kind of as I get more involved and I add content on a regular basis and I'm posting videos and posting content, I'm just realizing that this is a very viable solution because like from my own classroom teaching experience, all of my students didn't fully understand what I was trying to teach them. But I realized that a lot of them just needed like a little bit more support, some more individualized attention. So now with the technology, since people are using phones anyway, they're using laptops, using tablets, what I'm doing is I'm making myself available as an individual. I'm making myself available for private tutoring, and it's free. So it's not costly.
Mm.
Go into the YouTube channel, type in the particular topic, and some of the videos will pop up. And once the videos pop up, then you just watch it, take notes on it. You can pause and rewind, and then you go look at your homework problems and say, okay, so this was his step one. All right, so what's my step one? This was his second step. So what's my second step? This was his third step. What's my third step? And then you just put the work in. So because what so often happens is student sits in class, teacher attempts to teach something, student doesn't understand it. And math is, an accepted deficiency, right?
Right.
Math is like deficiency. So, it's like, oh, well, I ain't get it. So I'm just not going to get it. So it's like,
they'll shut down. Like I'm done. Like,
but a lot that find themselves in that position, if they had an access to a YouTube channel that they could go to, then they would be, they would be able to get it if they had the resource, if the resource was available and they knew about it. Now, I will also say this: there are thousands of YouTube channels and thousands of YouTube videos that cater to that deal with mathematics, right? A lot of them are not culturally relevant, right? A lot of them are like, stuffy, like kind of boring white people that don't speak the language of Black youth, right? And a lot of them also, they teach math on these channels in a way where almost the assumption is that the person already knows what I'm talking about. I'm just going to give them a refresher. So when I go to those channels, it's cool for me because I might need to refresh my own skills on something. Like if I'm going to tutor someone and they come to me with a topic and I'm like, damn, I haven't even seen that or taught that in like 8 years. I don't remember it. So I'll go pull up a YouTube video and then I'll start looking at it and I'll be like, okay, yeah, that's right. Cause you got to do this, then you got to do that. Okay, cool. All right, let's go. I'm ready. But that's me though. Like I've actually taught that skill. Somebody that's coming in cold, never seen that skill before, and then they might not have the confidence in themselves mathematically anyway. They start looking at that, it's gonna just cause them to shut down even more. It's gonna be more prohibitive. So what I hope is that my YouTube channel is a resource that people feel comfortable with. There's a lot of conversation about the lack of Black male educators in all subjects. Definitely there's a great lack and void in mathematics and in the STEM fields as well. So it's like, okay, cool. Like if you never had a Black male teacher before, I could be your black male teacher. Just pull me up. Just go to my YouTube. A black male teacher every single day. Whenever you pull up my YouTube channel, I'm your black male teacher. So solve that. Now, granted, we should still be doing the work to try to create educational spaces where people get, in-person education from black men and black women too. But for now, I could be your black male teacher right there online, right there on YouTube. So these are this is just me just sitting back and just being observant of the problems in our community and really trying to provide solutions, trying to be proactive and provide solutions that people can utilize and that our community can benefit from. So, this is where I'm at, and this is what we're doing. Right. And because I'm not gonna say I'm tired of a lot of the conversation, because I think a lot of people, and I think they mean well, but overall, it's kind of like this woe is me attitude that we have about, education in the black community. And a lot of it is just the issue of like the people that know better, they're going to have to start doing better. So the people that know, if we notice so many black children are deficient at mathematics, then black men and women that are proficient at mathematics are going to have to step up and teach those children. That's just what it is. There's no way around it. Now, it's more difficult for some people than others. For me, I'm in a position where I can do it, and I've made the active decision to do it. So I'm doing it, right? And I hope and that's why I'm trying to help as many people as I possibly can. But it's the time to provide these solutions, and it's the time to really, solve the problems, because we've already identified the problems. Now it's time to put forth the solutions, and even somehow fine tune the solutions probably as we implement them, and we see like what may not work as well as what we thought would, and we can constantly refine our work, but we got to be proactive with these solutions. So the All This Math YouTube channel is a solution to the widespread deficiencies in mathematics in the black community, and not only for children, but also for parents. Because again, I'm trying to teach parents too, because I want parents to be able to feel how I feel, right? Like I'm a veteran math teacher. I'm a math professor. I don't have no anxiety about any of my children coming home with math homework that I can't help them with. But that's because of what I do and what I get into and what I know, right? Everybody's not in my position though. But I want to try to get people in my position. I want them to know that feeling of comfort when and I want their child to feel confident, like, yo, I can just go to my mom when I go home, ask her about this geometry homework I got. Or I can go to my dad, I can go to my old head, and like they can help me with this trigonometry. We dealing with the unit circle or something like that. I want the children to feel that way, and I want the parent to feel confident that when they ask, they can understand, they can help them. Or even if they can't, they can say, all right, let's go to All This Math. Let's look up some videos on that real quick, and then we'll use his channel as an example, and then I'll be able to help you. That's what I want our people to be able to do, instead of just feeling hopeless and helpless, which many people are right now. So yeah, that's where we at.
Okay, wonderful. So basically, to find the YouTube channel, all you just type in All This Math. That's it. They type it in.
Yes. You want to put the @ symbol, the @ symbol, the @ symbol for like a social media handle.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, and then another thing I failed to mention about the channel is like I offer African American history on the channel. I offer African history.
Okay.
So I'm also trying to fill that void, because I know a lot of our children, they not only have math deficiencies, but because we haven't been able to be effective at teaching them their history, they also have deficiencies in history as well. So, I might have like yesterday I recorded a video on scientific notation. I recorded 2 videos on scientific notation, and I had one of my favorite t-shirts on, my Black Female Legends t-shirt on with, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Assata Shakur, Mary McLeod Bethune, a bunch of people, Shirley Chisholm was on the team, a bunch of sisters like that. So before I even get into the math, I'm like drawing attention to that t-shirt, because that's what I do in the classroom, because I want to make sure y'all at least know who these people are. Because at a minimum, you should know who the people are. You might not be able to give a dissertation about each of those women, but at least I'm gonna be able to say after you watch that video, you at least heard that name before. So and then hopefully you might go do your own research. You might Google those names if you never heard of them before. But it's very often that people have never even heard of people before. So I'm like, all right, let me try to do something about that too. So I'm gonna drop their names, and then we're gonna get into the math. So you're gonna get both. And that's part of that's actually part of a whole teaching framework that I've created called Histomatics, where I teach history by using mathematics, and I also teach math by using history. And videos I'll have on HBCU paraphernalia. I attended 3 HBCUs. I started out at Morehouse, then I transferred to Morgan State. I graduated from Morgan State, then I went back to school and got a master's degree from Lincoln. So and I teach at HBCU. I teach at Cheney now. So I'm like, I got a lot of love for HBCUs. They've developed me in certain ways. I have criticism of HBCUs too, but the criticism it comes from a space of love, and due to the fact that I see their potential and being able to help us to get free as a people. So when I see things are counteractive to us getting free as a people, those are the things that I have criticism about. But anyway, the love is still there. So you'll see a lot of videos where I got a lot of different HBCU paraphernalia. So you might be a student that never heard of Tennessee State University, right? Or you never heard of Fisk University, right? Fisk University, where W.E.B. Du Bois went to undergrad, right? And you might watch the video and learn the math, and then like, oh, what was this sweatshirt say? Oh, I never heard of that school. So you end up looking up that school, and then maybe years later, you end up going to Fisk University because you first heard of it because you saw my video. So that's the type of time I'm on. I'm trying to, help people math and also give people, be culturally relevant to people and give people historical information. And also, and we have, talk about, it's a way to offer as well political education. And that, I learned the value of that from studying the Black Panther Party. And because, when the Black Panther Party were doing their thing, they had the free breakfast program. And in the free breakfast program, which is why J. Edgar Hoover said that they were a threat to national security, which is true, because America is based on Black people being enslaved and being treated as second-class citizens and being ignorant. But when you start to provide political education to young Black children, that throws all of that off, right? So again, within this YouTube channel, I'm trying to provide political education as well, because, we might have a little conversation about what really happened to Fred Hampton or what was happening to the Black Panther Party, and the work that they were doing, because I might have a Huey P. Newton sweatshirt on. So I'm like, all right, just like, because if I was in my classroom, that's the type of space that I always created in my classrooms where we was going to talk about that kind of stuff. Because I know that in a lot of their schools, they're not going to learn about Huey P. Newton. I'm like, all right, well, if it's my responsibility then. If you want to learn about Huey P. Newton, I'm a Black man that's going to tell you about Huey P. Newton. And that's just what it is. So on the YouTube channel, they're gonna learn about Huey, learn about a whole bunch of other people, learn about events, and learn about math, learn math at the same time. So it's a one-stop shop for like a few things. So yeah. So like I said, I wanted to come on here and like really push the YouTube channel. I also wanted to book. I also want to talk about my first book that I'm publishing, hopefully by the end of this month.
Wonderful.
If not,
okay.
Yeah, so it's a book where, again, I'm trying to empower parents, right? It's a guidebook. It's a simplified textbook, right? Where I provide 20 different math topics, and I show how parents can teach their children these math fundamentals, these math topics that are very fundamental, right? But by using, by meeting people where they are, like different things that you can do with your children when you're riding in the car with them, different things you could do when you're at the grocery store, when you're in the kitchen, just think when you're around the house, just little basic things you could do, and also to show that like math is not that hard, and it really shouldn't be that intimidating. So that should be out, later this month. And it's just a way for parents to be able to teach their own children, different mathematics, because those fundamentals, and a lot of the fundamentals that I chose, the topics, those are the fundamentals that that cause young people to hate math, because if they've never seen it before, oftentimes they'll go into school, whether it be in elementary school or middle school, and they'll be expected to do work with fractions or do work with proportions or ratios. and they come in cold, and then their learning style may not match up with the teaching style that the teacher has, and then it leaves a bad taste in their mouth. And so what I'm saying is, all right, through utilizing this book, I'm gonna show you daily practices you can participate in to explain children become familiar and comfortable with fractions. Have your children become familiar and comfortable with ratios and proportions. Have your children become comfortable with adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. You know, and just by doing things that you naturally do in your house anyway, or things you naturally see in your house anyway, or in your car or whatever. You know, you'd be surprised how many young people in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade don't know their addition and subtraction facts. Off the top of the dome, they can't tell you what 17 minus 9 is. You know, what 14 minus 8 is. They can't tell you. They can't tell you what 8 plus 7 is. And they just, I believe it's because they haven't had enough practice. So I got this idea where you riding in the car, I call it the license plate game. Look at the license plate of the car in front of you and just add up all the numbers and just the basis. And imagine how much of an impact that will make if you have children that every time they're in the car, instead of just, playing Roblox or whatever on their phone, or, just looking at TikTok videos on their phone or whatever, you got them like doing that. And they practicing their addition facts. They practicing their subtraction facts. They practicing their multiplication facts. They practicing their division facts. And they doing it on a regular basis every time they get in the car. Every time in the morning when you pick them up from school. In the morning when you drop them off to school. In the afternoon when you pick them up from school, they doing that. And that's just one. And I got 19 more ideas similar to that. It's just, and these are things that are like, I would say battle tested, because these are things I've done with my daughter Asada, so it's like, I'm giving the people methods and processes that I use with my own children and have used over the years. So I just want us to win. I just want us to win. And I want us to be able to just, human beings are going to have problems regardless, that utopia does not exist, but I just don't want math. I don't want math deficiency to be one of our problems. I want us to have some other problems. We need better problems. We need better. So I want to remove math deficiency as a problem. So this is why I'm doing the work that I'm doing. And this is why I created this and why I've built it out and why I'm developing it and why I'm taking this so seriously.
Yes. Like I said again, thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you for sharing your services, what you are doing in the community. You are being the solution. You've been a solution, and you're doing it at a whole lot of level. I appreciate your time. We will definitely connect, going forward, because I definitely see a partnership with this, because I'm for our people running, period. There's no more excuses, no more roadblocks for terms of young people being successful, and math deficiency is not going to be one of them. And I want our young people to win. I would definitely promote the YouTube channel. I hope you come on Thursday, so our parents can see you, and see you and help them, so they can help their children win, going forward. So, Akil, thank you for your time. I want you to enjoy the rest of the day. Just thank you so much. We'll never connect next week. We're going to connect. So I appreciate you, and thank you for your story. Thank you for being a great person that you are, and being a problem solver, especially for our education, for our urban youth in terms of math. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on here, brother.
All right. Enjoy your day, man.
All right. Peace.
All right.